Imagine this. A woman who's built a thriving business from the ground up, pouring her heart and soul into supporting her younger sister's dreams, only to be humiliated in front of a room full of strangers for the very work that made those dreams possible. This is the story of Emily Harper, a 34-year-old entrepreneur from the heart of Texas, and her journey through betrayal, sacrifice, and redemption with her sister, Sophia. It's a tale of family, pride, and the hard lessons that come when love is tested by ambition and status. Buckle up, because this story will pull you in and make you question. What happens when the people closest to you hurt you the most? In the sprawling suburbs of Austin, Texas, Emily Harper grew up in a modest, hard-working family. Her father, Tom, was an electrician who spent long days wiring homes and businesses, while her mother, Linda, taught third grade at a local elementary school. They weren't rich, but they provided a stable, loving home for Emily and her younger sister, Sophia, who was 7 years her junior. From an early age, the sisters were like night and day. Emily was practical, with a knack for fixing anything mechanical. She'd spend hours tinkering with her dad's tools, fascinated by how things worked. Sophia, on the other hand, was a dreamer, always lost in books, acing spelling bees, and dazzling teachers with her sharp mind. While Emily struggled with traditional academics, Sophia was the golden child, destined for greatness in everyone's eyes. Tragedy struck when Emily was 29 and Sophia was 22. Their parents were killed in a car accident on their way home from a rare date night, leaving Emily to step into the role of guardian for her college-aged sister. The insurance payout helped, but it wasn't enough to cover Sophia's lofty ambitions, especially her dream of attending Crestwood University, an elite private college with a jaw-dropping $60 annual tuition. Emily, determined to honor her parents' wishes, vowed to give Sophia every opportunity to succeed, even if it meant sacrificing her own dreams. Unlike Sophia, Emily had chosen a different path after high school. College wasn't for her. She'd always been more comfortable with her hands than with textbooks. Instead, she enrolled in a vocational program, training to become an HVAC, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning technician. By 24, she'd earned her certifications and was pulling in a solid income. By the time her parents passed, Emily had launched her own company, Harper Climate Solutions, named in honor of her mother's maiden name. The business was a success, employing 10 technicians and securing major commercial contracts across Austin. But to Sophia, Emily's career was a source of embarrassment. "You could have been so much more," Sophia would say, her words cutting like a knife. "Don't you want a job that actually matters?" Emily brushed off the comments, focusing on the pride she felt in her work and the stability it provided. As Sophia's guardian, Emily took her responsibilities seriously. She worked grueling hours, taking on extra contracts to fund Sophia's education and lifestyle at Crestwood. She lived frugally, driving a modest Toyota Corolla while her work truck, a Ford F-150 with her company logo, sat parked at job sites. Every month, Emily transferred money for Sophia's tuition, dorm, meal plan, textbooks, and a generous allowance for personal expenses. Her best friend, Jessica, a nurse, and her boyfriend, Ethan, a construction foreman, couldn't understand why Emily tolerated Sophia's attitude. "You're bankrolling her entire life, and she treats you like you're beneath her," Jessica would say over coffee at their favorite diner. Ethan, who came from a similar blue-collar background, agreed. "There's honor in what you do, Emily. You keep buildings running, hospitals cool, people comfortable. She's got no right to look down on that." Still, Emily made excuses for Sophia. She was young, grieving their parents, and under pressure at her prestigious school. Emily clung to the promise she'd made to her parents, to give Sophia every chance to shine. For the first year at Crestwood, Sophia seemed to thrive. She called Emily regularly, gushing about her international finance classes and the new friends she'd made, children of CEOs, lawyers, and tech moguls. But there was always an undercurrent of comparison in her stories. "My roommate's dad runs a hedge fund," she'd mention casually. Or, "Claire's mom is a cardiologist." The unspoken message was clear. "Emily, with her HVAC business, didn't measure up to Sophia's new world. Emily kept her hurt buried. Focusing on supporting her sister, she expanded her business, taking on high-profile clients like hospitals and office complexes, to ensure Sophia could stay at Crestwood without financial worry. The look on Sophia's face when Emily told her not to stress about tuition costs, pure joy and relief, was worth every late night and missed vacation. But as Sophia's sophomore year began, the cracks in their relationship deepened. Sophia started dating Nathan Caldwell, a junior from a wealthy Dallas family. His father, Richard Caldwell, was a real estate tycoon, and his mother, Eleanor, sat on the boards of several art galleries. They owned a ranch in Hill Country and a penthouse in Miami. Nathan's world of privilege captivated Sophia, and she began to distance herself from her roots. She stopped coming home for holidays, opting instead to join Nathan's family for lavish getaways. When she invited Emily to a pre-Thanksgiving dinner at her off-campus apartment, one Emily paid for, Emily was thrilled. Hoping it was a chance to reconnect. Bring something nice to wear, Sophia instructed. Her tone clipped. My friends are particular. Emily arrived at Sophia's sleek apartment, arms full of groceries, including ingredients for their mom's famous pecan pie. Sophia, however, had already bought a dessert from a high-end bakery Nathan recommended. It's just more sophisticated, Sophia said, brushing off Emily's contribution. As they cooked, Sophia dropped hints about how to present herself. Maybe just say you run a business, she suggested, chopping vegetables with nervous energy. No need to mention the HVAC stuff. Emily felt a familiar sting but stood her ground. I'm not ashamed of what I do, Sophia. I've built a company that employs people and serves this city. That's something to be proud of. Sophia sighed, dismissing her. These people won't get it. The tension escalated when Emily's phone rang mid-prep. It was her office manager, Sarah, with an emergency. The cooling system at Austin General Hospital's surgical wing was down. I'll be there in 20 minutes, Emily promised, turning to Sophia. I'm sorry, but this is serious. I'll be back in time for the dinner. Sophia's face fell. Can't someone else handle it? My guests are coming in 2 hours. Emily shook her head. It's a hospital, Sophia. Lives depend on this. She rushed to the hospital, fixed the issue with her team, and returned to Sophia's apartment, still in her navy blue work jumpsuit with Harper Climate Solutions embroidered on it. Sophia's eyes widened in horror. You couldn't change, she hissed, practically shoving Emily toward the bathroom. Go put on something else. Anything else. Emily changed into jeans and a sweater. But the damage was done. When the guests arrived, Nathan, his friends Ethan and Olivia, and another couple, Lucas and Mia, the atmosphere was charged with judgment. They talked about ski trips to Vail, internships secured through family connections, and their parents' latest investments. Emily felt out of place. Her practical world a stark contrast to their privileged chatter. When Lucas asked what she did, Sophia jumped in before Emily could answer. Emily's just visiting for the weekend, she said vaguely. Emily corrected her gently. I live in Austin. I own a local business. Curiosity piqued. Mia asked, what kind of business? Emily answered proudly. I run an HVAC company. We handle heating and cooling systems for homes and businesses, like the new medical center downtown. The room went quiet. Nathan raised an eyebrow, and Lucas smirked. So, you're like the AC repair lady, he said, his tone dripping with condescension. Emily nodded, unfazed. Among other things, we also ensure operating rooms stay at safe temperatures for surgeries. Mia, the only one who seemed genuinely interested, leaned forward. That sounds really important. My brother had surgery last year, and I never thought about how much goes into keeping a hospital running. Sophia, visibly uncomfortable, redirected the conversation to Nathan's family's new yacht, dismissing Emily's contribution. As the dinner progressed, Sophia's efforts to erase her roots became painfully clear. She spoke of their parents as if their father had been a small business owner, rather than an electrician. And she avoided mentioning that Emily was funding her entire education. When Mia asked about their Thanksgiving traditions, Sophia waved it off. Oh, nothing special. Just boring family stuff. Emily's heart sank. Their parents had cherished Thanksgiving, Linda's pecan pie, Tom's tradition of sharing gratitude around the table, and their backyard touch football games were sacred memories. To hear Sophia dismiss them felt like a betrayal of their family's legacy. Unable to stay silent, Emily spoke up. Actually, our parents made Thanksgiving special. Mom's pie recipe, Dad's gratitude ritual, it meant a lot to us. Sophia cut her off sharply. Emily, no one cares about that old-fashioned stuff. The table fell silent, and Mia offered a kind smile. But Sophia quickly changed the subject. In the kitchen later, Emily confronted her sister. Why are you acting like you're ashamed of our family? Sophia snapped back. I'm not. I'm just trying to fit in. You wouldn't understand. The final blow came when Sophia added, just don't talk about your job anymore. Or the fact that you pay my tuition. Stung. Emily agreed to keep quiet. But the hurt lingered. The pre-Thanksgiving dinner arrived. And Emily showed up early. Dressed in a nice blouse and slacks. Determined to make a good impression for Sophia's sake. The apartment was decked out with fresh flowers, expensive wine, and new dinnerware. Clearly a display of wealth meant to impress Nathan's friends. As they cooked, Sophia dropped another bombshell. Nathan's mom helped with the menu. Lucas is super picky about food. Emily bit back a comment about how the money for this lavish spread came from her, focusing instead on helping her sister. When the guests arrived, Nathan, Lucas and Mia, Ethan and Olivia, and a new couple, Ryan and Chloe, Emily felt the weight of their scrutiny. Ryan, whose father was a venture capitalist, commented on the apartment's new decor, and Sophia took credit without mentioning Emily's financial support. As they sat in the living room with drinks, Emily overheard their conversations about private jets and exclusive clubs. Feeling like an outsider in her sister's world, she excused herself to check on the meal. But Lucas's voice followed her. Nice to have such efficient help, he said with a smirk, mistaking her for hired staff. The room went quiet, and Sophia laughed nervously. Emily's just helping out, she said, not correcting him or acknowledging their relationship. The dinner itself was a masterclass in discomfort. Sophia accepted praise for the meal without mentioning Emily's role in preparing it. When Nathan turned to Emily, perhaps out of obligation, he asked, so, Sophia said you didn't go to college. Was that a money thing? Emily kept her cool. Not really. I was more into hands-on work. I went to trade school for HVAC certification. Lucas chimed in. Trade school? Like, what? Fixing air conditioners? His tone was mocking, but Emily held her ground. It's a rigorous program. Thousands of hours of training. Plus exams. My company now brings in 7 figures annually. Lucas nearly choked on his wine. But Sophia's face flushed with embarrassment. The breaking point came when Ryan asked how Emily got into HVAC. Our dad was an electrician. So I grew up around tools. She began. Sophia interrupted sharply. No one wants to hear about Dad's wiring jobs. Emily, it's boring. And honestly, embarrassing. The table froze. Nathan looked uncomfortable, and Mia's eyes widened in shock. Embarrassing? Emily repeated, her voice steady but laced with hurt. Sophia doubled down, her frustration boiling over. Yes, embarrassing. You're just an AC tech. Stop acting like it's some big career. You fix air conditioners, crawl around in attics. Do you know how that sounds to people like Nathan and Lucas? You don't belong here. You're ruining everything. Just go. The words hit like a sledgehammer. Emily stood, placing her napkin beside her plate. I'm sorry for embarrassing you with my honest work, she said quietly, her voice trembling but firm. Enjoy your dinner. As she grabbed her coat and walked out, she heard Mia say, that was way out of line, Sophia. But Emily didn't wait for her sister's response. Outside, the cool Texas air hit her face, and tears finally fell as she drove home. Sophia's words echoing, you're just an AC tech. Picture this. A woman who's given everything to her sister, years of sweat, sacrifice, and savings, only to be cast aside like she's nothing. Now imagine her standing at a crossroads, making a choice that could either break their bond forever or forge a new path forward. This is the story of Emily Harper, a 34-year-old HVAC entrepreneur from Austin, Texas, whose decision to stop funding her sister Sophia's lavish college lifestyle sends shockwaves through their relationship. It's a tale of tough love, transformation, and the power of setting boundaries. If you've ever had to make a gut-wrenching choice for the sake of your own dignity, this chapter will hit home. Let's dive into the moment everything changed, and what came next. The night of the pre-Thanksgiving dinner disaster left Emily reeling. Sophia's words, "You're just an AC tech. You don't belong here," echoed in her mind as she drove home through the quiet Austin streets, tears blurring the city lights. She'd spent years building Harper Climate Solutions, a 7-figure HVAC business that kept hospitals running and homes comfortable, all while funding Sophia's $60 a year tuition at Crestwood University. Yet, in a single evening, her sister had reduced her to an embarrassment, a blue-collar relic to be hidden from her elite friends. By the time Emily pulled into her driveway, something inside her shifted. She wasn't just hurt, she was done. Sitting on her couch, Emily called her best friend, Jessica, a no-nonsense nurse who'd seen her through countless late-night crises. "Can you come over?" Emily asked, her voice cracking. "Sophia, she humiliated me." Jessica arrived with a bottle of Merlot and a fierce expression. As Emily recounted the dinner, Sophia's dismissal of their family traditions, her public shaming, and the demand to leave, Jessica's jaw tightened. She said, "What? After everything you've done for her?" "Emily, that's not just ungrateful, it's cruel." Emily nodded, wiping away tears. "I keep wondering if I did something to deserve it. Maybe I embarrassed her somehow." Jessica slammed her glass down. "Stop that right now. You helped cook. You were polite. You showed up for her. She's the one who should be ashamed." As the wine flowed, Emily's shock gave way to anger. She paced her living room, the weight of her sacrifices spilling out. "Do you know how many weekends I've worked? How many vacations I've skipped? I could have expanded my business faster, bought a nicer house, taken a real trip somewhere. Instead, I poured every penny into Sophia's college fund because it's what Mom and Dad wanted." Jessica raised an eyebrow. "Have you ever added up how much you've spent on her?" Emily hadn't. Not exactly. She grabbed her laptop, and together they combed through bank statements, tuition payments, and expense records. The numbers stared back at them. $132 in just 18 months. Covering tuition, rent, meals, and Sophia's generous allowance. And that's not counting the emotional toll. Jessica added, "The nights you stayed up worrying about her. The dreams you put on hold." Emily's phone buzzed with a text from Sophia. "You totally overreacted. You embarrassed me in front of Nathan. Why couldn't you just play along? No apology, just blame." Emily showed Jessica, who shook her head. "She still doesn't get it. She's manipulating you, just like she's been doing for years." Emily didn't respond to the text. For 3 days, she went through the motions at work, overseeing her team of 10 technicians and handling client calls. But Sophia's silence was deafening. No call, no apology, just a social media post showing her laughing at Nathan's family estate. Captioned, "Grateful for my real family this Thanksgiving. Some people get what it means to have class." The words cut deeper than the dinner itself. A public jab at Emily's expense. On the 4th day, Emily's boyfriend, Ethan, a construction foreman with a steady, grounded presence, came over for dinner. Sensing her distraction, he gently prodded. "What's going on, Em?" She poured out the story, her voice steady but raw. Ethan listened quietly, his jaw tightening as she described Sophia's betrayal. "What are you going to do?" he asked when she finished. "I don't know," Emily admitted. "Part of me wants to call her and demand she apologize. Another part never wants to see her again." Ethan leaned forward, his voice calm but firm. "What about her tuition? Isn't the next payment due soon?" Emily nodded. Crestwood's spring semester bill, $30, was due in 3 weeks. "I haven't decided," she said, though the thought had been simmering since the dinner. "Emily," Ethan said carefully, "you promised your parents you'd take care of her. But at some point, you've got to ask, is this really helping her? Funding a lifestyle where she spits on the person making it possible? That's not love, it's enabling." His words lingered as Emily lay awake that night. Staring at the ceiling, she thought about her parents. Tom and Linda, who'd raised them to value hard work and respect. Would they want her to keep sacrificing for someone who treated her with such contempt? The next morning, an email from Crestwood arrived. A polite reminder of the upcoming tuition deadline. Sitting at her desk, Emily opened her banking app and stared at the college fund she'd built for Sophia. $90. Enough for 3 more semesters. Her finger hovered over the transfer button. This wasn't about revenge, it was about dignity. About teaching Sophia that actions have consequences. With a deep breath, she transferred the entire amount back to her business account. Clicking confirm before she could second-guess herself. The decision felt both terrifying and liberating. For the first time since their parents' death, Emily was stepping back from her role as Sophia's endless safety net. She didn't call to warn her sister, letting the university's financial office deliver the news. That night, she wrote in her journal, her thoughts a tangle of guilt and resolve. Mom. Dad, I've tried to give Sophia everything you'd want for her. But I can't keep bankrolling her disdain for me. For our family. For the work that pays her way. I hope this wakes her up. I hope you'd understand. A week later, the fallout came. Emily was reviewing a contract at her office when her assistant, Sarah, buzzed her. Sophia's on the line. She sounds upset. Emily braced herself and picked up. What the hell, Emily? Sophia's voice was shrill. The financial office says my tuition wasn't paid. And I'll be dropped from classes in 3 days. What's going on? Emily kept her tone calm. I've decided not to pay your tuition this semester. Silence. Then an explosion. You can't do that. You've always paid. What am I supposed to do? Emily replied evenly. You have options. Sophia, financial aid, student loans, a part-time job, or transferring to a cheaper school. Sophia's voice cracked with panic. This is my future. You're ruining my life over one stupid fight? It wasn't one fight, Emily said, her voice steady but firm. It's a pattern. You called me, just an AC tech, kicked me out of your dinner, and acted ashamed of our family. I can't keep supporting someone who disrespects me like that. Sophia's tone shifted to desperation. I didn't mean it like that. I was stressed about impressing Nathan's friends. Emily didn't budge. That doesn't make it okay to humiliate me. This isn't about revenge, it's about respect. Sophia snapped. Fine, I'll talk to Nathan's parents. They'll help until you come to your senses. The call ended abruptly, leaving Emily drained but resolute. 2 days later, Sophia showed up at Emily's modest ranch-style home. Unannounced and disheveled, her designer clothes were gone, replaced by a simple hoodie and jeans. Her eyes red from crying. Nathan dumped me, she blurted, pushing past Emily into the living room. What happened? Emily asked, genuinely surprised. Sophia's voice was bitter. I told him I couldn't afford tuition because you cut me off. And suddenly he wasn't ready for a serious relationship. His parents were worse. His dad suggested scholarships for disadvantaged students, and his mom offered me a waitressing job at their country club. Emily felt a pang of sympathy but held firm. I'm sorry about Nathan, but this isn't about hurting you. It's about setting boundaries. Sophia glared. By pulling my tuition without warning? How is that not punishment? Emily shook her head. It's a consequence. You can't treat me like I'm beneath you while living off my money. Sophia sank onto the couch, her anger giving way to fear. What am I supposed to do? Drop out? Go to community college? Throw away everything I've worked for? Emily sat across from her. Those are your choices now. Sophia, you're an adult. I'm not abandoning you, but I'm done being your ATM. Sophia's eyes welled up. Zoe and Mia think I should apologize. They said I was awful to you at the dinner. Emily raised an eyebrow. And what do you think? Sophia looked away. I think you're being petty. But if an apology gets my tuition back. Fine. I'm sorry. The words were hollow. A transaction. Emily sighed. An apology isn't a bargaining chip. This is about changing how we treat each other. The dynamic where I give everything and you give nothing but contempt, it's over. Sophia left without resolution. But the calls and texts kept coming, anger, guilt trips, and occasional glimmers of sincerity. Then came the flying monkeys, as Jessica called them, family friends. Carol and Mike called to plead Sophia's case. She's devastated, Emily, Carol said. She might have to leave school. Emily explained calmly. She's an adult, Carol. She needs to learn respect. Just like Mom and Dad taught us. Mike was blunter. Using her education as leverage isn't right. She's your responsibility. Emily stood her ground. She's 22, not a child. She has options, scholarships, loans, a job. My parents would have wanted her to grow up, not be coddled into entitlement. A call from Sophia's academic advisor at Crestwood surprised Emily. Sophia's an exceptional student, the advisor said. It'd be a shame for her education to be disrupted. She's applied for emergency scholarships and taken a job at the campus library. Emily felt a spark of hope. I'm glad she's taking responsibility, she replied. I'll encourage her to keep exploring those options. The advisor added. She's also looking for a second job. She's determined to stay. Emily hung up, a mix of pride and worry stirring in her chest. Sophia was stepping up, but the road ahead was uncertain. Weeks later, Sophia appeared at Emily's office, a place she'd never visited. Dressed simply, her usual polish replaced by a practical ponytail. She looked nervous. I hope it's okay I stopped by, she said, glancing at the framed certifications and project photos on Emily's walls. I've never seen your office. It's impressive. Emily gestured to a chair. What brings you here? Sophia hesitated. I wanted to talk, and I was curious about what you do. Before Emily could respond, her phone rang. An emergency at a downtown office building. I have to go to a client site, she told Sophia. We can reschedule. To her surprise, Sophia asked, can I come? I want to see your work. At the riverfront corporate tower, Emily sprang into action, directing her team to fix a failing cooling system. Sophia watched, wide-eyed, as Emily coordinated with her technicians and reassured the stressed property manager. This is why we stay with Harper Climate, the manager said, shaking Emily's hand. In the car afterward, Sophia was quiet, then said, that was incredible. Everyone respected you. Even the manager treated you like the boss. Emily nodded. In that moment, I was. We were the only ones who could fix their problem. Sophia admitted. I thought you just fixed air conditioners. I didn't get it. How you manage people. Solve problems. Run a business. Back at the office, Sophia opened up. I came to apologize. Not for money, but because I was wrong. I was a snob, caught up in Nathan's world, trying to be someone I'm not. I hurt the one person who's always had my back. Tears welled in her eyes. Why was fitting in so important? Emily asked gently. Sophia sighed. I wanted to feel special. Like I belonged in their elite circle. I thought you held me back. Emily nodded. And now? Sophia's voice broke. Now I see how shallow that was. Nathan dumped me the second I wasn't perfect anymore. Mia and Zoe called me out. They said I was awful to you. Emily offered a proposition. I won't fund Crestwood anymore. But I'll help with community college tuition if you work part-time at my company. You'd learn business skills, and I could use your help with admin tasks. Sophia's eyes lit up. You'd trust me after everything? Emily smiled. Everyone deserves a second chance. 2 weeks later, Sophia was working afternoons at Harper Climate, handling schedules and client calls with surprising skill. She enrolled in Austin Community College, excelling in her classes and even pitching a business plan to expand Harper Climate into green energy solutions. When Nathan called, trying to rekindle things, Sophia shut him down. I'm done chasing status, she told Emily. I want real connections. By Thanksgiving, the sisters were cooking together in Emily's kitchen, recreating their mom's pecan pie and their dad's gratitude ritual. Joined by Jessica and Ethan, Sophia raised a glass to Emily, who taught me what really matters: hard work, integrity, and family. As their glasses clinked, Emily felt a warmth she hadn't known in years. The pain of that disastrous dinner had led to a stronger, more honest bond. Sophia had learned the value of respect and self-reliance, and Emily had discovered the power of boundaries. Their parents would have been proud, not for titles or wealth, but for the love and growth they'd found together.